shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday MindShift. I'm Sean Michael, your host for today, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you on our topic today. Hello, Bill. I see you there with your comment. Yes, I'm looking clean shaven, haircut, dialed, ready to roll like a new man. So I hope everybody had a great weekend and you're ready for the new week. Love to have everybody here. Looks like Bill's the only one here right now, but thanks for being here right on time, Bill. Let's see. I don't want to get too far ahead. Let's get this a chance to warm up. And good morning, Leanna. Thank you for joining. Glad to see you. How was your weekend, everyone? What's on the agenda for the week? Are you ready for the new week? Happy Monday morning. Thank you, Belle. Thank you. Yes, much shorter now. But it's also a little warmer these days here in Guatemala. But the nice thing is where I live, the temperature is almost always the same. So I don't really have to have summer, winter style or clothing or anything like that. Those of you who are joining, if I don't know you, if you don't know me, I know, Bill. I haven't created it yet. I got so many balls in the air right now. I have a 48-second intro. But good idea. That something to jam on. Well, of course, Restream has some nice jams. Actually, let's go here. Let's play this. Welcome, everyone. You know how it is, Bill, when you're the live host. You're trying different things, what works for you, your style. Some days, it's just a little slower getting the crowd in. We'll give it a good day, Mary Kay. Hope you're doing well up there in Toronto. Cold, yes. I think I saw that, Liana, that you had a revert to winter weekend. You were having some nice spring weather. And it turned another direction on you. I don't know how loud my voice is. Yeah, Bill, that's why I don't like music.
Oh, yes, I think I saw that, Leanna, that you had a resort to winter weekend.
All right.
You're having some nice spring weather.
So, in honor of Meryl, I created some slides today, just some basic slides. So, today is episode 2 of the Identity Blindspot series. And I want to see if I can, because the darn band is covering. Yeah, that doesn't work either. Names. Let's turn that off. Got it. Hello, Leslie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, just getting ready to get started. So, today is episode 2 of the Identity Blindspot series. Why you can't receive what you've been asking for. So, I want to welcome everybody back to Monday MindShift and our Identity Blindspot series. If you recall, last week we talked about what happens when our ambition comes from the need to prove something instead of the desire to build something. We looked at the prover, that identity that keeps the wounds active because that's the fuel, right? That keeps us driven. This week, let's go a little deeper. Something that not everybody wants to talk about is that many high performers are very what did I miss? What did I miss? Listening from Toronto, cold weekend, Mary Kay, Leslie jumping in, Bill saying he's going over to, and Dr. Marcia's here. Oh, nice. All right, so many high performers are very good at wanting. They do the work, they put in the time, they earn the accolades, they earn their incomes, they work very, very hard to get things, to achieve goals. The reality is they're usually very bad at receiving. And I don't say that as a character attack. It's just a structural observation. So my opening question today is this: when was the last time someone offered you exactly what you needed and you found a way to make it smaller? Perhaps you deflected it or you sabotaged it quietly before it fully formulated. I want you to take a minute with that, a second with that, because over this teaching today, we're going to look at why that happens. So, this is what I know. There is a ceiling that many driven people don't even realize it's there. They don't see it coming. This isn't about their effort or strategy. The ceiling is what their identity can actually hold. When we build our self concept around that striving, earning, proving, demonstrating that we're the capable one, the challenge comes that to receive freely and fully actually feels like a threat. It's not that the opportunity is wrong or relationships are unsafe. The problem is that doesn't match our story. Maybe it's a consultant who attracts exactly the caliber of client they've been working toward and then underprices what they offer. Or it's a leader who asks for support from the team and they get it. The team's all on, but they don't implement anything. Could be an entrepreneur who finally gets the yes that they've spent years earning. Within 48 hours, they begin to question whether they actually deserve it. These are not random events, and they're not weakness. They're our identity working exactly as it's designed. Your self-concept only allows in what it feels fits your container with who you believe you are and what you believe you are capable of, deserve. Coach Carey, good morning. Great comment from Mary Kay there. So if my self-concept believes that the gap is necessary, that I've got to continue striving, if I continue to frame what I'm doing in this not quite there yet, when things arrive, my self-concept sees it as a threat. Oops, I didn't change the slides. There's that. Let me catch up. The upper limit, right? We've talked about this before, the thermostat. Okay, we're not quite to that next slide. Okay. See, this is why I don't usually do slides, because it's tricky to keep up with comments and what I want to share and slides. So what happens is our identity, that self-concept of who we believe we are, what we deserve, what we're capable of, becomes attached to this gap. And here's the blind spot below all of that. We become attached to the wanting and not the having. Because wanting it without actually having it, it feels comfortable. It feels familiar. It's known territory, right? It's where our self-concept feels at home. Sometimes we call this the comfort zone. It's to the self-concept, to your identity, that gap is not uncomfortable. It's actually home turf. So when having occurs, when receiving, it disrupts that old story. We start to question, if I have it, who am I now? If the struggle is over, what's the new story? If my success is real and stable, what do I do with the version of me that built everything around the pursuit? Watch how this plays out in leadership specifically. Deflecting compliments, not humility, people. Sorry, it's not. It's your identity refusing to update the self-concept based on that new evidence. Undercharging is not generous. It's your identity setting a price point that matches with the belief of what it's worth, irrespective of what the market is. Self-sabotage, we've all heard that before. It's not self-destruction. It's just the system protecting coherence, keeping that story alive, or keeping the story whole and the gap in place. Deflecting, undercharging, not implementing, overqualifying every win. They're not character flaws. They're the system working exactly as designed. The problem? The design. Thanks for the kind words, Mary Kay, but I'm not doing great. So once again, deflecting, not humility. Undercharging, it's not being generous. Not implementing, these are all just the old identity protecting the system, what it is familiar with, what it's comfortable with. Yeah, Annie. Undercharging is not generosity. It's also mislabeled as like we like to think like self-esteem or self-worth, once we raise the self-worth, we'll raise the price. No. It's something deeper. So what can we do about it? Well, my famous two-chair exercise. The structure is always the same, right? Two chairs can be actual two chairs facing each other, or it can be a mental vision you work through. Today, the pair is different, like every week. But I would say this, inside every high performer who has difficulty or struggles to receive, there's usually two voices running. They're running at the same time. The first is the striver. It's that identity that was built around earning your right to be there, proving, holding that gap. The other is the version of you that can actually hold what you say you want, what you've been working toward. So imagine yourself sitting in the chair, or sit in it, the striver. It's not the villain. It actually built a lot of good things. It got you to where you are now. There was momentum. It kept you moving at a time when stopping could have cost everything. But when you listen carefully to that voice, how it speaks when things arrive, it might say something like, I haven't fully earned this yet. They'll figure out I'm not as capable as they think. I have to maintain it in order to accept it. For me, it's safer to just keep pursuing than to arrive and risk falling short. So I want you to silently complete this for yourself. When something good arrives, let's see, do I have this on the slide? There it is, yes. When something good arrives, I tend to deflect it because. Answer that silently to yourself. Or if you're in a space where you actually have answer it aloud where you can hear it. But it's for you, not for anybody else. And I want you to honor whatever comes up. That voice has protected you. It kept the bar high when nobody else would do that. It's built the discipline in you that created the results you've gotten so far. But take a look at the cost. Those wins that just never locked in. The compliments that just fell off. What about opportunities that got smaller? In chair 2 is the one who can receive. This person, you're going to shift chairs mentally or physically. That part of you doesn't require this gap that we're talking about in order to feel enough, to feel legitimate. It speaks differently with things like, I built this and I can hold it. What is being offered to me actually matches what I created. Or receiving doesn't mean stopping. It means integrating. My worth, this is again the one who can receive. My worth is not in the pursuit. It's in who I am. So complete this silently. If I allowed myself to fully receive what I've earned, I would. Okay. As always, with this exercise, we're not terminating the striver. We're not retiring them. It is the identity that built the ground you stand on today. However, the goal is to stop letting it intercept everything on the way in. In order to expand what we can receive, it's not about working harder to earn a right to have that more. It's about expanding how we see ourselves. Meryl, glad to see you. Anil, I see you there. I see Mary Kay's comment about the words that came up for her, a little unsettling. Can be, but awareness is our first step, right? When we know what's going on, then we can make the changes. We can expand how we see ourselves. We can update that self-concept to match the evidence that already exists. Because the results, they're real. The question becomes, is your current identity ready and willing to let it in? Here is the quiet cost of staying in this pattern, keeping the gap open. You will continue to work towards things that you can't fully take hold of when they arrive. The wins will feel hollow. relationships just out of reach. The success will look good from the outside, but inside you'll be questioning, like, is that it? What's next? There's nothing wrong with what you've built till now. The problem is the operator has not updated to match what you've built. Eventually, the gap that you worked so hard to maintain, that you've gotten so good at maintaining, it stops feeling like motivation and starts to feel like a burden. Here's two things. I want you to take time and write these out. Write these in your journal, answer them. I'm going to put them in the chat. The first one is, the last time I deflected, minimized, or sabotaged something good arriving was. The last time I deflected, minimized, or sabotaged something. Deflected, minimized, or sabotaged was. So we're going to look at that time, the last time that we deflected that compliment. We didn't fully take hold of what was being given to us. Then ask yourself, what was I protecting by keeping the gap open? And one more question, and this is key. If the life or success I say I want arrived tomorrow, what part of my current identity would it threaten? I don't ask that as a rhetorical question. Your answer to that question, that shows you where you need to do the work. Let me repeat that. If the life or success I say I want arrived tomorrow, what part of my current identity would it threaten? The other questions are very useful, but this is the one. This is the one I really want you to take, because this is where your work has to start. So I have a simple invitation. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, first, that's okay. It's not pointing out any flaw. Look at it as just information. Your current identity is showing you the boundaries. And the identity clarity call is a place where we can look at what your current identity self-concept allows in and what it's quietly refusing. So if you're ready to stop shrinking everything you receive, the things you've worked for, send me a DM. I'll share a link and we can have a talk. No cost, no obligation. And with that, if anybody wants to bring anything to the stage, I'm going to drop the link in the chat that you can join. And we'll use the remainder of the time to have a discussion. And Tom, welcome. Thank you, Meryl, for sharing it. Always appreciated. Let me go back through the comments. Bill commenting how different I look. Good morning to everyone. I know Leslie's in North Carolina, Leanna up in Minnesota, Mary Kay up in Toronto, Dr. Marcia, I believe she's East Coast, New England region. Leslie, let's see, great Coach Carrie in Indiana. Good morning to you. Annie over in the UK. Omar, I believe, is in Arizona, sunny Arizona. Anil and Meryl up in northern New Jersey. I see Tom here. Yeah, it really is about threat analysis. Like, look at what is the actual threat that brings up for you. I have no idea what that looks like on your side. I'm not sure I like it on this side. Arizona, my memory is working. So if anybody wants to join the stage, no audio or no video is not required, just because I'm on video. Love to have you hear from you, share your own thoughts, questions, comments. I appreciate your engagement in the chat. I know topics go deep, but that's where the real work is deep. We're rebuilding the foundation, because all the remodeling above won't last if we don't repair the foundation. It reminds me of my neighbor when I bought my house. He started seeing these major cracks in his wall. And when they started looking, what they found was erosion underneath. And the house was built in like the 1950s. So standards were very different then. There was no footings, there was no connection to hard stone. Like often buildings are built with foundation into the bedrock, so that no matter what happens to the soil, the home will stay put. But his home was not. So what was happening is the soil underneath was eroding and the home was collapsing. And what they ended up having to do was dig out the hole underneath of the house and create a foundation that was solid before they could touch any of the repairs in the house, because otherwise it would have just been surface level, right? Comes to mind lipstick on the pig, right? Doesn't matter how well you dress up the pig, it's still a pig. If we put a paint job or better decor, it looks nice short term, but eventually it will collapse. And even in this house that I'm renting now, I was cleaning a spot on the floor under my wife's desk. And when you touch the tile, you can hear it's hollow underneath. It's not my house. I've let the owners know, but potentially we're going to have to go stay somewhere else when they go in to work that out. Because I can only imagine when they tear the tile up what they're going to find. Because, like my friend's house, Guatemala doesn't have the same standards as more developed countries have. We've ridden the earthquakes, big earthquakes, like 5 and 6 points, with no major shifting. Love the emojis, ladies. Thank you. Would love to hear from anybody willing to come on stage. Anybody? Everybody's busy doing other things, probably, or not feeling live stage ready. All right. Here's a follow-up question for everybody. Where does the striver show up most in your leadership? Of course you can, Carrie. Show up most in your leadership. Money, recognition, support, something else? I know that's a big one. Often we hold the gap because we feel like our connections, ones that we feel are important, will disappear, right? That we'll lose connection to people if we go to that new success level. Understood, Omar. That's what I figured. I figured most people are just listening in while they're working, while they're building web pages, prepping their next live, whatever. All right. So I'm going to share how this played out for me. One of the first clients I ever connected with, I had done a live speech on a virtual event that was titled "Stop Being Nice, Be Not Nice Instead." Coach Carey, I will send it to your DM. How's that sound? Let me just find it back here. Where is it? I don't see it either. Okay, I have the link here. I can copy it. What am I thinking? So part of the VIP bonus was a free 1-hour call with me. And it was a powerful conversation. it was about people pleasing, and she had had this huge insight. And she's like, wow, what's it take to work with you? What are we talking about? What's the cost? And I said, $500. And oh, thank you, Omar. And there she is. So while I'm bringing her up, so I said $500, and she's like, okay, send me the link. And I realized in that moment that I had way undercharged. Coach Carrie, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Happy to stop in.
I appreciate it. You I don't know if you know how much I appreciate it.
Well, the universal energy is reciprocal. I appreciate the opportunity to be a guest on your show.
All right. So, how has the striver shown up for you?
Can you re explain the concept of the striver? I know
So
people are. Okay, go
the
ahead.
the striver is that part of you that just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing in spite of evidence of success or wins, instead of like just going, oh, I did it, I achieved that. Now I'm not, I'll say, I'm not saying that we're looking to never like hit a goal and say, oh, I'm good, right? That there's good in that. Like when you reach a goal, set a new goal, a bigger goal, right? What I'm talking about is that energy, that version of us that just always has to keep pushing, 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 to strive, to prove ourselves, to feel like we've actually deserve it or earned it.
So that's a great question. And for me, I don't see the striver as a negative energy in the sense that you just explained it. I think that it's a positive energy if we continue to aspire towards our goals and continue to set new goals. So, for instance, I had a period in my life where I won something really big. I was designated as the MVP, and I was like, yes. But I feel like where I dropped the ball was I didn't continue to win. And there's a book by Larry Weidel called Serial Winner. And I'm like, oh, you're supposed to keep winning? What? So I thought I had arrived. And I said, oh no, I got to keep striving. I got to keep going. I have to, because I like to, I don't necessarily use the word just striving, but I think at some point you want to go from striving to thriving. And so I think when you hit that goal of
Bingo.
thriving, that you have become a serial winner, that you continue to win over and over again.
Right. The object is not to reach the goal and say, oh, good, we're good.
Wish I had met you years ago, man.
Right. The goal is to change that striver who feels like they always have to strive to prove myself, earn my right to enjoy the benefits of the work that's been done. And as I said in the teaching, this shows up in deflecting compliments or
Mhm.
undercharging,
Mhm.
right? If you've worked with people and done powerful work, and I always heard it this way, if you give a price for what you're offering and it just keeps getting accepted every time with no question, you might want to revisit that, right? There's a point where it's too low because everybody just says, oh yeah, definitely. And then there's too high where people go, but there's a sweet spot where they have to, like, they can't just say yes right away. they go, I need to, right? You have to see the value. But
Oh,
I've seen a lot of people undercharging a lot.
well, I think people undercharge when they don't recognize their value. And I think that sometimes people, in quotation marks, the second time around, I know you all can't see me, but air quotes undercharge because they're using it as a way to give back. So I know for me to do public speaking, for instance, I could easily command $10,000 per appearance. And that's without the TEDx credential. And so, but I do it because it's fun, because I feel like I add value, because I feel like I'm giving back, and just because I love having conversations with people. So that's one, example. But then I also feel like the example that you gave when you talked about the $500, I think Tom Cullen is definitely agreeing with you in terms of find that sweet spot, because when you look at the economy, you have to take a lot of things into consideration. Like, is it reasonable to expect people to be able to pay a certain amount? So I think it's great to look at whether it's too low, whether it's too high, and finding out what that sweet spot is in between. But that's why you have to do what you talked about earlier, is that deep work, because I'm not going to pay $10,000 for a pig with lipstick on it. Okay.
Well, and you bring up an excellent point, Coach Carey. If you're bringing yourself to a level where you're wanting to work with a higher level of clients, but you keep getting those clients or those contacts that you're like, oh, I don't know if they can afford the rates that I normally command. I respect what you're saying. If you're a speaker who could command a $10,000 stage, no problem, all expenses covered, and you decide to give it away as a gift, that's your choice. The deeper thing is are you doing that legitimately? And only each of us can answer that for ourselves. Are you doing it literally because you want to give to that community, that group? Or are you still trying? That's the striver. The striver is like, I'm still trying to prove that I deserve to command $10,000 on the stage, that I deserve to command, $10,000 a month for the coaching that I'm offering.
You just gave me an epiphany, because never have I ever said $10,000 and all expenses included. I'm undercharging. Wait a minute. There's places where you can go where you get all expenses included. I love that. And so that's why you have to come to these kind of platforms and these kind of shows, because you get perspectives. And so what corporations can afford and what school districts can afford and what entrepreneurs or franchisees might be able to afford, of course, is different from an individual, is different from a friend, or a colleague. And so, but I love that idea. I'm going to have to put that in my notes, Sean. All expenses paid.
And I've seen it 5, 10, 15, and higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have this misbelief that, what who we're working with, we're like, oh, they could never pay that.
Yes.
The reality is if it was important enough, they would find the money.
That's true.
Right? I've heard the story of, if you needed life-saving surgery and they told you it was $50,000, you'd start looking.
Well,
You'd open a GoFundMe or something, because the price that we're charging for speaking engagement, for coaching engagement, it's not about my personal belief of my worth or my value. It's the value of what changes for the listener? What changes for the recipient?
I love that perspective.
Right? A school district, if your teaching at a speaking event saves the district 20,000, 30,000, $50,000 in misappropriation, is it worth paying you $10,000 to come speak?
All expenses included.
Absolutely, right?
Right. I'm saying that now from now on.
It's kind of like we have to take the 30,000. Initially we say, oh, I'm working with, I hear this so much. Oh, I work with this group, and I've done it. I planted a church in New Mexico, and I was working with homeless, recently released ex-cons who had no money. They had no job, no income. So I was supporting that endeavor out of my wife's salary. I knew all the church pastors in town, and I always got this great job. I love what you're doing. That's so needed. I sent somebody, I gave them your phone number. That was it. I said, okay, I'm talking to the wrong audience.
So let me ask you a question then, as an identity disruptor. Is it talking to the wrong audience, or is it how we are presenting ourselves?
Exactly.
Yeah, to the audience, to show that value, but also to say this is the value and this is the price for you to receive that value, and this is what you're going to receive in return.
Right. And, like if you're an entrepreneur and you're noticing the level of people you're attracting, and it's not necessarily the level that's going to say, where do I send it? Whatever number you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And because the ones that say, where do I send the money? How much, just tell me the number and tell me where to send it.
Yeah.
And they have no qualms about that. They will do the work.
Yes. Alex Hermosi talks about that when he was I think he was going through a bankruptcy and his business was closing, and he was just trying to find a way to evaluate where he was and get to the next step. And he had this girlfriend who has eventually become his wife. And that's one of the things that he talked about was when he started, I believe, in the gym industry, physical fitness in the gym industry.
Mm-hmm.
He had a client, and he's trying to put everything on all of these different credit cards. And he told the guy, I think it was 7,000, 10,000, whatever the dollar amount was. And the guy was like, yeah, sure. Where do I send the check? And he said it was in that moment that he realized that he had something of value and that he really had been, what you were talking about is undercharging. And I like what Eddie said, undercharging is not generous. It really does not help anybody, because people, like you just said, if they find value in something and they're willing to invest, those are the people who are actually going to do the work to accomplish whatever the goal is.
Right. And if you book the clients at the level that you want, at the fees that you know your work is worth, the value that you provide, so that you are taken care of, right? Your oxygen mask is secure, you are breathing well. Then when you have that unique client where you're like, I just want to help this person so much, are you not in a better position to help them? Say, yeah, you know what? I can work with you at a reduced rate, a reduced commitment to help you through this situation that you're working through. We're not devaluing the work. I got a call. I did a podcast and I was talking about my underlying big, hairy, audacious goal of reducing suicide, especially in men, by 1%. And I got a booking on my calendar. No email, just a booking shows up. And I'm like, okay, I didn't set the links up so I could say, oh, that came from here or that came from here. I just had a general link. And we had the conversation, and he shared a situation. He was kind of at that point where he's like, I just don't see any reason to continue living. And he's like, okay, what does it take to work with you? So I gave him a number, not $500 a month. And he's like, well, the economy in Argentina, because he's from Argentina, is really tough. Blah, blah, blah. And I understand that because, I live in Guatemala. The economy here is not the same as it is in US, Canada, UK. What I did was I came up with a different setup. So instead of meeting every week, I said we can meet every other week and then lower the price so that it's more comfortable. What do you think happened with him?
Well, prayerfully, he did not, that he's still with us.
Exactly.
But I don't know if you lowered the price that he fully did the work.
And I don't know either. As you said, prayerfully, I hope that he did shift. He did have an insight and an epiphany, per se, that he realized that wasn't going to solve anything.
Right.
But I don't know because I never heard anything more from him.
Yeah, and that happens. And I like what Mary Kay said, that as a service provider, she can confirm. And I love that confirmation, Mary Kay. Listen, it is more fun to work with clients who actually do the work. And I think that goes across the board, regardless of what industry you're in, whether it's in social services, in financial services. It's exciting for me to see a school district employee, for instance, who would have retired with what I had in my case, $160,000, and I'm able to help them get an extra $100,000 or an extra $200,000 on their retirement because they listen to me. Like, I celebrate with them at the time of their retirement. So that part, I agree, Mary Kay. It's so much fun. Or if you see the numbers increase on somebody's platform because of their engagement and because of their visibility when I help them in that area. So I just think that finding people who your work resonates with is important. I think authenticity is important, and value. You work with people where there's a value gap. And those are the type of people, when I'm looking for or working with clients, that there is some type of value gap so that they can see, okay, well, she's going to increase or enhance or add value to my life and to what I'm doing. So I love that. And I told you before, I love this title of being an identity disruptor. I think it's just a really important concept that people, kind of get outside of the box. I think I commented on somebody's post yesterday. Oh, it was Jedi J. I don't know if he's awake yet, but I was telling Jedi J, tear up the box. He was like, we have to think outside of the box. I say rip the box to shreds and continue to reach these goals.
Exactly. And I actually was part of a Zoom call the other day, and this came to mind. So if you've ever seen The Matrix.
Listen, don't play with me. I have seen The Matrix over and over and over and over again. Yes, I have seen The Matrix.
So the specific scene when Neo is with the kid about bending the spoon.
Yeah.
Right? He says, don't try to bend the spoon. Realize there is no spoon.
Come on. Listen, don't take me to church with The Matrix.
With the box, right?
Yeah.
Don't need to shred the box. Realize.
Come on, teach.
There is no box.
I love that. I love that. And my bestie Layla says you have to find the audience, the right audience, that resonates with your service. And I agree with that 110%. Like, I love that idea. There is no spoon, there is no box. And then back to Mary Kay's point, that just makes it more fun when you are working with clients who are actually doing the work, but taking off
Absolutely.
those parameters.
Regardless
Hmm.
of the fees, because in
Yes.
January I went to a big kickoff event for what is called the $1 billion impact marketplace.
Okay.
And the idea of the $1 billion impact marketplace is that providers can come and maybe pitch an offer that they've never pitched before
Mm.
in front of a live audience. That in January it was a physical live audience, but we also do Zooms where we have different business owners, CEOs, etc. We have people from all different areas of life. But it's an auction, so people can put their offer out and people bid on it. And 40% of what is what the offer sells for
Hmm.
goes to a charity that's being supported with that particular auction.
Okay.
40% goes to the provider, and the other 20% is overhead for running the system that's being built.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I had two people take my offer for a 30-day identity reframe intensive. They got it at a steal
Right. That part.
because it was a charity auction, right? Like I was
Hmm.
offering my services. But what I loved is those people did the work. It didn't matter that they paid a reduced price. They came in, they did the work. And like Mary Kay said, that is more fun. When you work with someone, you see the change, whether it's, an extra 100K in your retirement fund, or you see someone, for me, it was seeing someone who was operating this start stop, over giving, carrying a burden that they didn't need to carry. Like the example was they worked with a client who quit partway through the process, disappeared for a while, and then came back and said, well, I'd like to get a refund, because I didn't, engage all the parts of the process. And so the client I was working with is like, she's very, very concerned with, she's overly concerned with what other people think. It's like, and she told me herself, I over delivered. I realized, she said it in her own words, I gave way more than I should have.
Well, I don't believe that we make accidents and mistakes. I think that everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to happen, that there are certain lessons that we are supposed to learn in life. And sometimes those are tough lessons. Sometimes it's people you care about that you have to disconnect from. Sometimes it's undervaluing yourself so you can learn your value. There's this duality, this give and take, this push and pull, where there are, I believe, lessons that we learn from the different things that we experience, and
Absolutely.
that we just have to continue to move forward. So I'm gonna jump off stage so somebody else can jump on stage.
Well,
But I'm gonna
actually, we're
continue
at the top of the
listening.
hour, so we
Oh,
can wrap it up. But one little thing before you go, Coach Carrie,
okay.
is you brought this up before. I want to touch back on that about when we do the inner work, it changes how we show up. And when we change that, those clients that come and say, oh, well, I'm going to quit and I want a refund, they show up less and less and less. We actually start attracting, as Layla said, the right audience. The ones who are ready to do the work, have the resources or the resourcefulness to engage with the provider. And that's what this is all about. Is let's reframe the inner world so that we can naturally magnetize the right people to work with, the people that are going to come in and do the work. All right. I don't know if I lost Coach Carrie. I see her icon here, but I don't hear anything. Thank you, Coach Carrie, for coming on stage and talking with me. Thank you, everybody, for watching from the audience. I really miss the old audio rooms, because we used to say, the Garden of Excellence, or we had all these cute names for that. I lost all that when we went to this. But anyway, thank you so much to everyone for being here, your comments, your questions. Much appreciated. Have a great week, and we will see you all next week.
In the shadow of a mirror, where the past holds tight, he walks in with fire, igniting the night. A truth seeker's vision, he shines through the